And here are my closing statements. Like I always say, this country could have become so much livable if only we had sufficient men of conscience and principles at the helm of strategic levers of our governance architecture. Let me restate, and I shall not tire of saying it. Can these so-called leaders, for once in their lives, put the interest of this beautiful and blessed land called Nigeria first, above their personal and selfish interest? Can these people for once appreciate that public service is a great trust and it is solely for the delivery of the most good to the highest number of citizens of this country? Maybe if we plead or cry, they might just hear and consider, the cries and the agonies of the suffering masses of Nigerians. Can these oligarchs, by the mercies of God, consider the plight, of idle undergraduates who have been home for 3 months and their forced idleness has just been extended by another 3 months? What about the jobless youth suffering in their tens of millions, and our compatriots languishing in kidnappers' den, and those killed daily by terrorists and bandits? What about the hunger and poverty ravaging this land? What about businesses forced to close shop due to lack of electricity and the prohibitive cost of diesel to power electricity generating equipment? Now, while on this, recent reports by WAEC, that's the West African Examination Council, indicates that Zamfara and Sokoto states public schools haven't presented students for SSC, Senior Secondary School examination, scheduled to begin May 16th. Yet, these two states, have been in the news lately for all kinds of wrong reasons. Sokoto State, for instance, the governor wants to be president of Nigeria. And the question any right-thinking person should ask him is, to do what exactly? Are there no pupils qualified to write SSC, or it is simply not the priority of the governor? And his compatriot in Zamfara, the Zamfara governor, he recently sponsored about 97 persons to Hajj, to Saudi Arabia for Hajj. And he also bought over 350 vehicles for traditional rulers. Yet, he is not interested in the education of the children who are the future leaders of not only Zamfara, but Nigeria. So here are my simple recommendations. And it is only an advice, which I offer in good faith. You all have rights, to aspire to any elected offices. However, to sit tight in office while you pursue this aspiration is dishonest, it is dishonorable, and it is a great disservice to Nigeria. Importantly, it is an illegal conduct, particularly based on the provisions of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018. One of the principles of sound corporate governance is ethics and integrity. The personal ethics and integrity, and might I add, morality of all of you, going around that you want to aspire for office while you sit in your offices, is questioned by your actions. And while on this, may I ask the CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, for instance, if a serving bank CEO aspires for political office and refuses to resign, and the board of directors of such a bank where he works refuses to remove such a CEO, what will be the reaction of the central bank, which you, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, heads? Because you are the regulator of the banks and the bankers in Nigeria. What are you going to do in such a circumstance? Perhaps if you think on this scenario, it will advise you to do what is necessary in the given circumstance. And so I conclude by a great quote from the Spanish historian and philosopher George Santayana, who famously said, "Those who forget history are condemned to repeating it." Now, what history should the current leaders remember? The history of what led to the termination of the First, the Second, and the Third Republics. If they don't have a rethink urgently, I fear similar fate awaits this Fourth Republic. Now, will you do the right thing? I pray and I hope you will. For all of our sakes, I believe in a new Nigeria, and it is possible.